What is going on, people? Welcome to the show. So, I haven't done a podcast in a while and I've got a few questions on my phone here. This will also be recorded for YouTube. So I did a poll on Instagram recently and asked for questions of what people wanted to talk about, wanted to listen about, wanted to hear about and wanted me to talk about on this podcast. The podcast is now called The Fitness Works Show. I took it away from In The Shed because I just didn't feel that fitted with the image I wanted this podcast to have. So we changed it up a little bit. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of change, is there? So I've got a few questions. What I thought I'd do this morning is fire through all these questions, try and get it done within 25 minutes, because that camera, if you watch it on YouTube, doesn't do longer than 25 minutes. So I'm going to talk. I've only got 1, 2, 3. I think I'm going to choose 4, 5, maybe 6, but some of them are stupid questions. As per usual, when I put something on my Instagram, I just get a load of muppets and stupid questions. But let's crack on and get into some questions and see what we come up with. What is the difference? No, start again. What difference does wearing Metcons have on your training? I have Metcons on right now. If you're on YouTube, you can see them. I have these cool white ones. If you're on the podcast, you can't see them. I have cool Metcon whiteboards, they're called. The reason I would use Metcons for training is because, especially when you're doing some like hybrid workouts, CrossFit workouts, fitness workouts, sometimes it's effort to change from lifters to Metcons to running shoes. So it's an all-round trainer. You can lift it because it's got a flat bottom, it's got a hard bottom, it's supportive, but it's still flexible enough for you to go running. I don't know if I'd suggest running long distance in Metcons because they're probably not ideal, but if you're doing an AMRAP, or if you're doing an EMOM, or you're doing a workout which combines all aspects of lifting, then wearing a Metcon is fine. If you're going to run a marathon, wearing a Metcon probably isn't fine. But for the average gym goer, a Metcon is a lot better than a bouncy Night Rocher or whatever they're called, because you can lift in them, you can run in them, you can jump in them, you can do a lot of stuff in them which won't give you ankle pain or won't have a huge amount of instability. So a Metcon for me is the ultimate trainer for any serious kind of gym goer. Where do you buy your sexy white socks from? This is a bit of a joke question, but I've got some people on Instagram that send me messages and try and send me money for my socks, or to see me wearing socks, or just see me wearing black socks, white socks. But if you're watching this and you want to send me a question on Instagram, please do not send me something about socks. Or please just don't send me weird questions. Just send me nice questions like, what are you doing today, Jack? Or if you want to send me stuff, send me food. I like food. I like gin, I like food, and I like trainers. So if you want to send me Metcons, feel free. If you want to send me food, feel free. If you want to send me Bombay Sapphire, feel free. But please, don't send me socks. Or don't ask for my socks, a bit weird. Right, next question. Is opening a gym in 2019 a saturated market? Personally, I believe every market is saturated. So, property investors everywhere at the moment, you see them all over Instagram. Everybody wants to be a teacher, even though we have a shortage of teachers, but everybody seems to go in to do teaching. Everybody wants to work as like a manager or a boss of a company. Everybody wants to do something nowadays. There isn't many industries which are not saturated. The difference between being successful in an industry or not being successful is you personally, I believe. If you're not cut out for that industry, or you don't want to work hard, or you haven't got the patience to kind of work your way up the ladder, then you are going to blame it on the fact that the industry is saturated. I see a lot of personal trainers who go out there and don't get any clients, and they're like, oh, personal training saturated. No, personal training isn't saturated. You're just not doing the correct things, and you're just not putting the time, effort, and being patient enough to build up your client base. Coming out of college and going straight to become a PT and coming up with 30, 40 hours isn't realistic. But becoming a PT and working your ass off for a year, 2 years, 3 years potentially to build a full client base, to potentially have trainers under you, to potentially have your own gym, that time's going to pass. So you might as well do something you enjoy, I say to everybody. everything is saturated. It's just if you stand out and you can kind of get through that saturation, you can get through that initial stage of where people think they want to do something but they're not good enough, or they don't have the willpower or the ability to carry on doing it. If you can break through, once you break through that kind of saturated level, this isn't so saturated, this isn't so saturated, and so on. Eventually you get to the top, and the top's not so saturated. Owning your own gym, not everybody owns their own gym. Being a personal trainer out of college, there's loads of them. Being a personal trainer with a big client base, there's a few. Being a personal trainer with a big client base and people underneath them, not many. You get my drift. So that is how I personally believe. Well, that's what I personally believe about opening gyms. A few people have asked me that question. Is it a saturated market? I don't think so. Maybe, no, I wouldn't think it. I don't think it is. Fitness is growing. The fitness industry is growing every year. People going to the gym are growing every year. More people are going to the gym. More people are trying to look better, feel better, want to perform better at work. There's just more people getting involved in having a healthy lifestyle than ever before, I think. How do you manage to keep your motivation up during an injured period? It's tough. Being motivated all year round is tough. You have your highs, you have your lows. But when you're injured, and I don't know, it depends what your injury is. A lot of people say, oh, I'm injured, I can't train full stop. If it's a bad injury, and yeah, you probably can't train, or if it's a light injury, like a hamstring injury, you can do other stuff. You can keep your motivation by doing upper body. Set yourself little goals for upper body, like a bigger bench or a bigger shoulder press, or I don't know, a bigger bicep curl. Whatever your goal is, change them up a bit. When people say they're injured and just don't lose all motivation, sometimes that's just a bit of an excuse just to quit. They didn't actually want to do it in the first place. They didn't have big enough goals and they didn't have big enough ambitions to start with to be able to see the rough patches, because the rough and smooth come together, don't they? You have your highs, you have your lows in everything. Literally everything in life, you have your highs, you have your lows. But it depends if you can beat those lows, because at the end of the day, the lows is what makes you stronger anyway. So the lows make the highs bigger. But if you can't handle the lows, you don't deserve to have the highs. So when you're training and you get injured, just reassess your goals, set new goals, or don't stress. If it's a big injury and you can't actually get to the gym, go and have fun in other areas of your life. Go set goals in other areas of your life. Maybe concentrate on your career, maybe start a new hobby, maybe pick up that hobby you haven't done for a while. Something along those lines which keeps you motivated in other areas, because sometimes if you drop off from training, your whole life can implode. But if you have other areas which you can concentrate on, other areas you can have fun, then you should always keep your motivation for a long period of time. But like I said, either adjust your training, set new goals, refocus, go again. If it's a big injury, go find other hobbies, go find other things to do, and just put more effort into that side of your life. But one thing, don't stress. When you're young to training, or when you're new to training, or you're young, you've got your whole life ahead of you. Like, I'm 28, we're going to pick up injuries. I just don't train. Right now I've got tendonitis in my wrist, so I need to stop Olympic lifting for a couple of weeks. But it's cool, because I'll just go back to doing some bodybuilding training. I'll go back to doing hypertrophy, I'll do a bit of fitness, but I just won't do Olympic lifting, and I won't do overhead pressing. It's fine, this stuff happens. Just refocus on other areas. Don't quit, don't give up, don't think it's the end of the world, because at the end of the day, you'll be fixed and you'll be happy and you'll be training again in a couple of months. I think we'll one more. I don't even know what it is. What has got more calories? 1,000 chicken-sized horses or 10 horses sized of chickens? It's going to be the same as what's heavier, a ton of feathers or a ton of bricks. I'm going to say it's all the same. But if it's not the same, comment below. What's got more calories? 1,000 chicken-sized horses or 10 horse-sized chickens? I'm going to go with exactly the same, like the brick and the feather, that they're always the same. Right, that's all I'm going to do today, those 5-6 questions. I know some were a bit jokey questions, like where do you buy your socks from? But I think we've got some good ones there. Metcons, gym, injuries. If you have any questions, or you want to ask me anything, or you want me to address anything on this podcast, I am going to pick them up a bit more regularly now. I'm not going to say I'm going to do them every week. I'm going to do them when I want to do them. When I've got an hour or two spare, when I've managed to get a guest on, or when I manage to speak to someone online, I'm going to do them. But if you have any questions or you want me to address anything, all you need to do is comment below, drop me a message on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, Jack Fitness Works, and I will for sure do another podcast, a Q&A podcast in the near future. They're nice and quick, nice and easy, 10 minutes long, done. And I hope you got some valuable information from this podcast, YouTube channel, or however you're watching it. Please subscribe, please share it with your friends, please send it on, do whatever you've got to do, and I will catch up with you in the next one. That is it from the Fitness Works Show. Peace.